Hello, good evening, everyone. I know you can really see the outsides. I haven't like reset up since I did the calendar, and yeah, because I had to use the same tripod that I use when I record. Anyway, happy Friday. I hope everybody has had a good Friday. It has been a wild and great one for me because the calendar was released today. Yay! Applause, please. Please clap. Okay. I can't do Jeb. Anyway, uh, so if you have purchased the calendar already, many thanks. Much love. I have sold, I think, let's see, 12 calendars so far. And that's about how many I sold the first day last year. I'm kind of uh, where I was last year, which is cool. I'm very grateful for all of that, for all of the support. It was a lot of work. I feel like it was more work this year than last year. I don't know how or why. Probably because the calendar was actually blank, like completely. And I had to actually like find a calendar and upload that with the photos. So I actually had to make the calendar part too, kinda. Didn't really make it. I downloaded it. I'm just gonna be honest. Uh, but I also made this one more dynamic. Uh, and I, you know, did some nice backgrounds. I didn't use really any of the backgrounds necessarily that I have. Um, I used them for a solid like backdrop, but I made the backgrounds more dynamic, so it's a little bit, in some ways, better than last year. There's actually some smiles too, but I really do hope everyone likes it. I did work really hard on it. I wish I was able to put more time into it. I do wish I was able to get more outfits, but I was at a loss this year. It really just kind of crept up on me, and I needed to get it out. And I know October is kind of an early time to have a calendar out, but I wanted to give everybody enough time before the new year because it's like you blink and it's already October now. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure that time didn't get away from me more than it already had. So, um, regardless of how it turns out, I'm going to love it, LG. I hope you do. I hope you do love it. I am very proud of it, even though, like I said, I wish I was able to have more time on it. I wish I was able to do more. But yeah, I am proud of it still. I am. But I will start pre-orders for the signed calendars soon. Maybe sooner than later. And there seems to be a confusion about like what calendar is for sale right now. So I might just go ahead and start the pre-orders for the signed calendars. That way that can be done. I know there's some people that are holding out for the signed calendars, and I am very flattered that you actually want my chicken scratch on your calendar. Uh, but yeah. So I might set those up a lot sooner than later. Um, my night's going swell. Thank you. Next year, pull tab book. If that was an option, that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. I don't know what I would do for a pull tab book, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know, like a peekaboo, like like you can remove the makeup on the pull tab or something. Um, but yeah, okay. So in terms of like news, though, there's not really all that much news. There's a few things. I probably should have included this as well about the Nobel Peace Prize, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. However, the one thing I wish I had a soundboard, honestly, because I could use this little like this audience cheering. Well, government's still shut down. They are still behaving like children. Now, don't get me wrong. I like that, with them being shut down, that saves us money, although they're going to kind of backlog it in a way. But it's less money that's being spent. And so it means it's smaller government because less people are having to work. So less bureaucrats out there. So Don't get me wrong. I like that it's less. However, Congress, they're behaving like spoiled children. Just there's no there's no other way to describe it. They're behaving like spoiled children. I heard that Mike Johnson is being a huge Johnson with a little Johnson and is refusing to go back in session. I know that Daddy Massey is still wanting to propose the Epstein files sign off thing, which is awesome of him. I absolutely love that he's actually trying for the victims. And there is some suspicion, since it's really spearheaded by Ro Khanna, Thomas Massey, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And there's also something else that they have in common too, in terms of who funds them. I'm sure you could probably take a guess, and this stream would probably get shut down, or I would say demonetized, but I don't even know if I'm monetized, to be honest. I don't have enough followers on YouTube for even the super chats yet. Getting there, but not quite there. So there's that little coincidence there that Thomas Massey is still going to propose the Epstein release, and of course Mike Johnson doesn't want to do that. And I forgot who it was, but there was a GOP person in the House or Senate who said that Thomas Massey was wrong for wanting to release the Epstein information, saying that it would damage the GOP. What a weird thing to say. How would it damage the GOP? Are you trying to say something? Honestly, there's probably like people on both sides of the aisle on that list. But Massey is he's still going for it, and I obviously y'all know I highly respect the man. I think he's the best person we have in Congress. Not think, he is the best person we have in Congress. So there's that going on. And my thing is that they need to just pay the troops, pay the military, and keep the government shut down. That's what I say. Because, and I went back and forth with people on this on Twitter. I said, pay the troops, pay the military, but keep it shut down. Here's why. The military, they sign a contract. If they don't show up to work, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, like there's so many of y'all that are in the chat that are like veterans. So you know what I'm talking about. You don't show up to work and you're in the military, you're jailed. What other job are you jailed for not showing up to work? Unless, of course, you're on a work release, but that's a different situation. So that's like forcing you to work where they take away your freedom completely, because you don't really have, like, you voluntarily sign up for the military. Yes. However, that contract is also that you are to be paid a certain amount for the job you're doing. Yes, people are saying, well, they're going to get paid. They're going to get paid. Yes. However, in the time that they're not getting paid, if it lapses for a payday, they are not getting paid. They might get back pay, but they're still working on a payday with no pay. That's tantamount to slavery, which was abolished in the 1860s. Now, there's a thing that, people are saying, yeah, right here. Yeah, right here. That's the first one before that. Yeah, forced conscription. Yeah, it's forced conscription after it's voluntary. And that is exactly true. Whenever you choose to serve in the military, you sign a contract for a certain amount of time. And in that certain amount of time that you are currently enlisted in the military, then you do lose some of your rights. You do. That's just part of it, because with the military, you are bound by UCMJ. And that is basically your new set of laws after you sign that contract. So pay the military, but keep this bitch shut down. Keep it. We don't need all of the bullshit and this inflated government and bureaucracy, because things are still functioning. Things are still going. Just pay the military, because they still have to keep going. They are not permitted to just say, well, I'm not getting paid, I'm just going to sit here and not do anything. No. They'll go to jail. Military confinement. So pay them. Pay them. And then keep this bitch shut down. Just honestly, pay the military and keep it shut down. Period. The rest of the year, even. That would be wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Just keep the military paid, keep it shut down, and honestly, that would just be the greatest rest of 2025 ever. Like, 2025 has already been a wild ride. All right. So, the only way to make it better is to keep this bitch shut down. Pay your military. That way you don't have actual slaves or indentured servants, really. Yes, they sign away voluntarily. However, contracts go both ways. They sign the contract to the government, to the military, and then the government and military agree for payment and benefits. Somebody will be holding up their end of the bargain. And of course it's the government, because they're a bunch of egotistical, narcissistic, spoiled children. All of them. And I don't consider Massey a politician, so he's not included in that. I mean, if you pay tax, you're already sort of a slave anyway. That is true. That is true. And I will quote, being that I saw them 2 weeks ago today. Oh, it's already been 2 weeks. Wow. Acid Bath. Actually, in my favorite song of theirs, In the Bones of Baby Dolls, they have a line that says, work for pay and pay for freedom. Fuck them all. We don't need them. And that's pretty damn true. That's one line. That's not why it's my favorite song, but that just hits. Absolutely hits. So I do want to check. I do want to check in on something. I have all day. I have been hanging out. I don't know if anybody here is familiar with Jake Monroe. He is a goth YouTuber. He is leading a red pill goth movement right now, and it's going swimmingly. He's making waves. I'm very proud of him. I really like that he is doing what he's doing to show that there's more thought processes, more diversity of thought in the goth subculture. Besides myself. Like, I already know I'm a unicorn. All right. Jake's a Pegasus. So he's been live streaming. He was doing an 18-hour live stream, and he bumped it to 24. I just kind of want to check in, and I told him I was going to live I don't know if you saw the comment, but I was going to live react his live stream. Okay. To support people. I like to support people in the subculture, and he is doing this I'm not going to do too much of his live streams. I don't want to take away views from him. Okay. This is what he's doing. He's just chilling. He's playing. I don't know what game that is. Is anybody here
Shu and Rinko are fucking dead. You killed him. Stabbed him in the face. It was a lot of gameplay, at least this time. Maybe. We'll see if they just go ahead and do the ritual anyway.
How come? Shu plans to meet up at your place, right?
I can't believe they didn't just climb this gate. That is unbelievable. How did I not pick up on that the first time I played this?
All right. I don't know if he's even gonna see that comment. I just said to say hi, that I'm live right now. Just supporting fellow.
Are you live right now, LG? That's awesome. Have a good stream.
All right. So anyway, if you're not following Jake, I recommend doing it. He's super based. And yeah. Anyway. Cool dude, super cool dude. Just wanted to check in and see what was going on. But yeah, for the subculture, he is really doing great things for the subculture. Oh, let's turn this off. Okay, I was still hearing him in my headphones. All right. So yeah, if you're not following Jake, do. He is, like I said, he's really based. He is doing great things for the subculture, and he's doing it for the subculture. And yeah. Okay. Moving on. So we've already gotten to the shutdown, and like I said, I wish I had a soundboard, to make some cheers and whatnot. So they're still being spoiled children. Mike Johnson is a huge Johnson, and Massey has been correcting people. Who was it? Was it Marsha Blackburn that Massey corrected? Chat, do y'all remember if it was it Marsha Blackburn? It was one congresswoman, I think. I'm not sure if she's senator or what. But she said, like, why would Verizon and AT&T give the FBI or whatever like the senator's phone information? And it was because the Patriot Act. They were allowed to. Senator, yes. Senator Marsha Blackburn. So she was saying, why would they give the information? Well, bitch, you voted for the Patriot Act. That's why they can. They can do that because of the Patriot Act. And Massey called her on that. That was wonderful. Sassy Massey. That sounds like Blackburn. Yeah, it was Blackburn. She's trying to clutch her pearls about why. Oh goodness, why would they turn in the phone records? Why would they give access to the FBI for all of these like senators and congressmen? Do you know what the Patriot Act did, woman? Do you know what you even voted yes to? Do any of them know what they vote yes to? I'm gonna say no, except Massey and Rand Paul. I'll give Rand Paul that too. She never read the fucker. Yeah, she never read it. She probably got her aides to kind of summarize it, and they probably didn't read it either. So the Patriot Act was too authoritarian. Yeah, well, to say the least. It was definitely a Trojan horse to bring about the surveillance state, which, how 1984 of them, But I didn't see if she followed up after Massey called her out. I'm like, vote no next time. Yeah, the thing is that unless it happens to them, they don't care. And that is the most out of touch bullshit ever. Like, if you are going to impose something on the public, you need to be aware that, for one, it can come back to bite you in the ass and affect you directly. Or two, you're selling out your constituents, which most of the time they're just flat out selling out their constituents, because that's what they do. They sell out their constituents. And honestly, I'm sick of it. I was sick of it day one of my first breath on Earth, and I didn't even know about the government then. So I'm certain that thanks to the Patriot Act, I'm on a couple lists. You know what? That's the best way to be. because that means you're doing something right in the name of liberty. Unless you're an actual terrorist, and by being a terrorist, you are violating the NAP. So unless you're like actual terrorist, you don't belong to be on any kind of watch list. Because here's the thing, I am not an anarchist. I'm libertarian, of course. I'm a constitutionalist, libertarian, minarchist, if anything. Law enforcement should be to do things like enforce the NAP. Now, Antifa, they are NAP violators. Huge NAP violators. Sometimes huge, literally, if you see them. But huge violators of NAP. So they should definitely labeling them a terrorist organization, is fitting. Because all they do is violate the NAP. They are not actual in any way freedom fighters. That they pretend and LARP like they are. They think that because they call themselves Antifa that they're not fascist. No, they're more fascist than Trump is, and he's the one that actually has some power. They use actual fascist tactics, and they're trying to put out that the GOP is fascist. They are just repeating talking points and stuff from the media from years ago before things kind of changed. Now, there wasn't a party change, is not what I'm necessarily saying, but there have been attitude changes within the parties. For instance, the left used to be about free speech. Like the left in the 90s, they were a lot more about free speech. And then it used to be the Christian nationalists that were completely taking over the GOP. And when the Christian nationalists were taking over the GOP, then they were more about censoring. Like, for instance, you got, it was Tipper Gore. Wait. Yeah, because you had Tipper Gore. I don't know if y'all remember Tipper Gore. I'm actually too young to remember the actual Tipper Gore incident, but I know of it. Tipper Gore, I believe she was what spearheaded the parental advisory thing where they put the parental advisory sticker on CDs. I believe that's thanks to Tipper Gore. Tipper Gore is Al Gore's wife. And honestly, what kind of name is Tipper anyway? Her parents didn't like her very much. But yeah, explicit lyrics. Yeah, so if a CD had explicit lyrics, cursing and saying slurs and stuff, then it got slapped with a parental advisory sticker. And so it was the lamest thing, because I don't know, this is before, obviously, anyone in here that only remembers things like iTunes, this is a blast from the past. Okay. Before, you would have to go and buy a CD or tape, even or tape cassette. Okay. And when Tipper Gore spearheaded that, which is a form of censorship, having to flag it like that is a form of censorship, because to be able to make sales, artists are putting out their expression as is. And then you're putting this caution label on it. Yeah, people say, oh, you should know what you're buying and stuff. Well, if you're going to buy a Tupac album, you know it's going to be explicit. That's just a given. Okay? If you buy a Britney Spears album, you know that's not going to be explicit. I think the people know what they're buying. You don't need to have that flag on there. That's like a form of censorship. Anyway, so they had CDs that had the parental advisory sticker thing on them. And so after that, I'm assuming it must have tanked sales for a lot of artists. Because after that, there started being censored versions of these albums put out. Granted, they were voluntary for them to put them out, but anytime you're going to put these pressure on any kind of artist to adjust their art, yes, and I think things like, yes, art to say the word fuck. It's still an expression. It's still their speech. And to, in a way, coerce them to censor themselves to be able to make an album by making it non-explicit, or at least a non-explicit version, that's pretty shitty, period. And now they don't necessarily have the stickers on like iTunes, for instance. What they do have now is a little E next to the song itself, not next to the well, I haven't really seen if it's next to the album too. I know that oh no, it boosted sales. Yeah, I guess I can see that too, because people don't like care what the government's going to say, or care what, you know, like they want to rebel, and so they're going to get the explicit. I actually used to buy CDs, like, what was it? I think it was Acid Bath, the Ramones, and Agents of Oblivion, which is a Dax Riggs from Acid Bath project. I got those, and I believe I got Lamb of God. No, I think it was Fear Factory Archetype. And I started to buy my CDs at this small little like hippie store, because they sold CDs and they would order them for you, because they would still sell me explicit CDs as a minor. I couldn't go to, like, say, Hastings and do it. They would not sell it to me. But this little hippie store would, and it was the greatest thing. So I used to get my explicit CDs in a small little mom and pop kind of hippie shop. Anyway, because I don't know, whenever you Hastings, yeah, I actually used to work at Hastings. That was definitely after the minor days, whenever I was when I was buying explicit CDs at mom and pop shops. So anyway, I'm digressing entirely, but you get the point. Tipper Gore was Al Gore's wife, and she spearheaded that whole campaign. Okay. Now it's the left that's wanting to censor everybody. Before, it was like the Christian nationalists that wanted to clean everything up. And I think they lost the plot with that, because, you know, like I said, you know, freedom of speech coupled with freedom of expression, you know, the government shouldn't be putting any kind of anything on people's speech and expression, period. Like, whenever they try to label shit misinformation, like, is it really? Is it really? Turns out it's usually not. Now the left is wanting, like, first it was just like societal. You had like trigger warnings. And then, you know, cancel culture, like, you can't say that. And like, freedom of speech is it freedom of consequences. But that sounds very threatening to me. I think that sounds like a threat, regardless. You know, freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. You know, I get what it's saying, but it still also sounds like a threat. And I still don't like that saying. It still sounds very gross to me. Christian nationalists and the woke left aren't that different, to be honest. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. I made this point a few weeks ago, that the left currently have their own version of what the Christian nationalists had. Because before, well, I don't know if it's Christian nationalists necessarily then, it was Christians. And I'm not talking shit on Christians. I love Christians. But I believe it was the 80s. I'm not sure if it was 70s too. But it was like 80s and 90s, I believe, there was a satanic panic. And during the satanic panic, they were seeing Satan everywhere and everything. And now the left has the Nazi panic. Everybody's a Nazi. If you don't believe in this, you're a Nazi. And they're just overusing it so much. The only difference, though, is that sometimes, like for bands, for instance, they would lean into that accusation sometimes. For instance, you know, my personal favorite band, Him, from Finland, they began the band during, like, I guess, the during the Satanic Panic. I'm not sure if it was the end. It was whenever there was like a bunch of church burnings going on, because they started in the 90s. Yeah, it's been around that long. So they started during the Satanic Panic, and they're not Satanists by any means. Villa Vallo is not a Satanist. However, they have songs called like Your Sweet 666 and stuff like that. And so they leaned into that whole thing during the Satanic Panic, because it was rock and roll. It was edgy. It was like, oh, you're saying we're Satanists. We're just going to kind of, okay, if you call us Satanists, then we're going to do this and that. It was just to be edgy. No one is or is going to lean into the Nazi thing. No one is. But yet the accusations still continue. The accusations of Nazi everywhere. Everyone's being a Nazi. Everyone's a Nazi. If you don't toe the line exactly that the left wants you to, you're a Nazi. I don't know how many people on the left have tried to say that sweet old Charlie Kirk was a Nazi. That guy was as far from a Nazi as you can get. And it's just the Nazi panic now. The Nazi panic is really getting annoying. I'm fatigued. I'm fatigued by the Nazi panic. It is... it's not only reprehensible because they're overusing it for a historical figure that should be looked on with disdain and disgust. And by overusing it and watering it down, the meaning of that starts to go away. It starts to fade more. It starts to lose its power because they're using it inappropriately. And really, to try to say, like, for example, to try to say Trump is a Nazi, that is, that's not only obviously false. Regardless of what I feel about Trump, he's not a Nazi. It's not only false, it is, of course, watering down the term, but it's also insulting to any of the survivors of the Holocaust. Because there's nothing Trump is doing that is like the Holocaust in any way, shape, or form. It's not. They try to say, oh, the ICE, it's like the Gestapo, the ICE, blah, blah, blah. Okay, last I recall, during the Holocaust, they put Jews in concentration camps. And ICE is just sending people back to their home countries. That's like the opposite of what the Gestapo and stuff were doing. And it's really ridiculous. And then you have mayors of these cities that are like, we will stand up against ICE. There's a reason why crime has skyrocketed. There's such a huge competition for resources in these urban areas where it's like sanctuary cities. So it's not only a competition for the resources, but you have such a huge amount of people in small areas, and there's going to be squabbles, there's going to be crime, there's going to be lots of issues. And it's just really, like, you don't see that, and no, I am not an open borders libertarian. I don't care that it's on the platform. I am not a libertarian in the party. I will never be a libertarian in the party unless I have to if I'm running for something, which I doubt I will. But yeah, I'm not an open borders libertarian. That's anarchy. I will put my foot down on that. Open borders libertarianism is anarchy. It's anarchy, because borders are what make a nation. And I'm not saying that we have to have closed borders. I'm saying that we should have regulated borders. We did, even like Ellis Island. People got turned away at Ellis Island too because they like had lice or something. Those were regulated borders. I'm down with that kind of style. Like, hey, this is your name. You're here. Okay, go. Like, not these huge hoops that people have to jump through now to come. No, just, all right, who you are. Okay, you're not a dangerous person. Go on, just go chill out. You don't have to go through all these paperwork and wait 10 years. No, I'm not about closed borders. I'm about making the immigration system easier. But there needs to be just borders. It's just a thing. it shouldn't be stopped, but should, like, here's how I see it. Say you have a house party, okay? You have a nice house. You have lots of like food lined up, beer, kegs, whatever. Good old time. Everybody you know there, you just know everybody. They're either friends or family, or you invited them. Like like they came ahead of time. If people started showing up to your house party and you don't know who they are, and some of them are breaking your shit and taking a bunch of your food without like you even like, who are you? Like, you're gonna have issues with that. Like, it's the same kind of principle. Like, at least if you're gonna come to the door of the house party, at least be like, hi, I am so and so. Like, I'm friends with so and so, or I live down the street or something. Like, just introduce yourself. That's not closed borders. That's not keeping you from movement. Like, a lot of libertarians that are open borders say that border regulation is keeping you for freedom of movement. It's not. It's not. It's just announce your presence. Okay? You don't have to be surveilled after that. Announce your presence. Then do your thing. Wait a second. This feels like an analogy. It is an analogy. Look, the thick Latinas are always welcome at the house party. Just say, yay! So I'm welcome at the party. Yay! Just don't put on the twerking music. I don't want to embarrass myself. Open border libertarians today. Oh, there's one before that. Ran into a couple open border libertarians today. I'm sorry. Sorry. Trying to go through these comments here. Open borders is a losing proposition. Those libertarians are dumb. Yeah, and their argument is, well, it's on the platform. This is why nobody takes the Libertarian Party seriously. Some of these things on the platform are left talking points, and some are just flat out anarchy. There has been an infiltration in the Libertarian Party that has just made it into a joke. Like, I don't think anybody is going to take the Libertarian Party seriously. And I really, I don't take the Libertarian Party seriously. I am a small L libertarian. Okay. And I feel like I will forever be a small L libertarian. And honestly, that's the most libertarian thing to be, because, being a libertarian, you are the most independent thinker. Why would I want to subscribe to a party that has a platform that you kind of must either abide by or check boxes that you think that way or a certain way, or you should, or you're not towing the party line? I feel like George Washington was right when it comes to party loyalties. We should just not have political parties. So I'm happy being a small L libertarian. I will stay a small L libertarian and not get into that chaotic mess of a party. And I know I have people that are party members in the chat, and y'all are great. Awesome. This is not directed at you. It's directed at the party itself. There has been a huge infiltration of leftists. Like, it seems like the Bernie bros that felt disenfranchised just joined the libertarians because they're like, I'm not going to join the GOP, and I'm just disenfranchised because what the Democrats did to Bernie, so they go to libertarian. Sorry, but you're not a real libertarian. Yeah. Guilty. I'm a party. I knew some of y'all were party members. I knew it. But that's okay. That's okay. You know what? I still have love for you, man. You're still awesome. But I'm a right-wing anarchist. Yeah. There's been a lot of, I guess, anarchy or anarchist, not infiltration necessarily, in the Libertarian Party. But, like Open Borders is leftist and has been anarchist too. Like, the political spectrum, it's not black and white. There's a lot of overlaps for stuff. Past my bedtime, y'all. I should have drank more coffee. If you wanna buy me a coffee, there's a link in my on my X. I need more coffee. Anyway, we're just get a calendar, but the calendar is gonna go to the manicure fund because I have one that's kind of lifting here. I'm gonna have to get another one here soon. All right. Something else I want to talk about because we've been going for almost 45 minutes on the shutdown, on the parties and such. I'm digressing from from the talking points or like my own title of my of the stream tonight, which was government shutdown and just bitching about the left and the right, which I will always bitch about the left and the right. So I don't know how to say this without, I guess, anyway, getting in trouble, which sounds so weird to say, freedom of speech. I don't know how to say this without the stream having issues. If you saw any of the title, Kirk Assassination, Conspiracies, Abound, Candace Owens has been making a huge name for herself lately regarding Charlie Kirk. Granted, there are some, I don't know what to say. There are some, I guess, unanswered questions, things that don't really add up when it comes to Charlie Kirk's assassination. And it's extremely unfortunate because I'm still sad about it. I'm still sad about Charlie Kirk's assassination. He seemed like he was such a good guy. And I feel like it was such a huge loss for the nation to have lost a good person, all around good person. I think loss of life is tragic regardless, but when someone is truly a good person, I think it makes it more tragic because that person actually tried. This world is dark. This world is cruel. And he chose to be kind. He chose to be loving to his neighbor. And I believe, of any public figure I've ever seen, he truly lived Christ-like, which is the goal for any Christian, is to live Christ-like. And, I don't know how he was in private, but from everything that I've seen, he seems to have actually lived that way. And that's so rare, especially in this day and age. It's just the oddest thing to actually see. So, anyway, there are some things that don't add up. Like the 30-06, the fact that there was no, they say his bones were of steel because there was no exit wound, and some were saying that there was no blood. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I've seen the video. There was a lot of blood. It was his neck. So that conspiracy is just the dumbest thing. I've seen some conspiracies say that there was a guy with like not a camera gun. Was it a camera gun? Like a small palm gun. There's one that I saw that said it was a palm gun that he got shot with. Another said that there was, I don't know, like a phone gun. I saw one that said that it was his microphone. They're like, oh, look at the slow motion. It's his microphone. Trying to say that it was his microphone that shot him in the neck. But when you see his shirt jump, that's because the bullet actually hit his chest because he had a plate on, and it bounced off that. It wasn't a direct hit in the neck. He actually got hit in the chest. And honestly, it was a lucky, and I'm saying in quotes because there's nothing good about what happened, period. But it was a lucky shot because it ricocheted and hit his neck. And so they succeeded in eliminating their target. So, here's some. Now the trajectory would be wrong. Yeah, but the palm gun and everything. It was from a distance higher up than ground level. Yeah. The hell angle where the shot allegedly came from, it was from a building across the Commons area. I'm not sure what that's called. Across that, from like the corner of the building, I believe, which obviously is above ground level. That's where the shot allegedly came from. Now, some are saying, "Oh no, Tyler Robinson didn't do it." His parents have always said that they think that he was innocent, that they were told to not speak to the media, and this whole thing about, but no, it was his dad that turned him in. You know, there's that. And then there's wait. He was confirmed to not have on body armor. Really now? Because it looks like he is wearing body armor when you see the video. It looks like there is some like squared off chest piece whenever you look at it. Yeah, the mic was an Israeli explosive device. Duh. Well, it wasn't a pager. If it was a pager, then we know 100%. Ask Hezbollah. Because Candace even reported the bullet fragment was recovered between his shoulder blades. See, I haven't heard about any of the bullet fragments or anything else after that. I heard that it got lodged like in his spine, I think. And I believe the microphone bombed because of the exploding pagers in Lebanon. Yeah, see, there's a difference though. I think it's easier to do a bomb pager than it would be to have a microphone that would just kind of shoot you and be accurate. So I don't really trust the microphone shot thing. Plus the way the sound, is and carried. Isn't it funny how Cash Patel was trying to take credit for Robinson being taken in, even though he didn't do shit? Like, no, it was his dad turning him. Well, he's got to try to take credit for something because he hasn't been doing jack shit. Like, he's been saying that FBI agents superseded the president in many instances and, basically committed treason for the most part. He's like, and here we're being transparent. Well, where's the arrests? Where is anybody getting fired? Has there been any accountability? Or are you just being like, look how transparent we are. The FBI did this and that. What are you trying to say, dude? You're not doing shit. You're just telling us this. It's like, and are you going to arrest anybody? Is anybody getting fired and arrested? No. Cash Patel has the most unused handcuffs of anybody at any sort of law enforcement ever. Like, they're polished. And polished because they have been unused. They are brand spanking new. He could probably sell those as brand new. Because I'm sure they never have and never will get used. He may have had light 3+ vest under the t-shirt, but that's not stopping 30 outside. Yeah. And that's one thing that people had issues with was they say it was 30-6. Yeah. There's just contradictions with it. As well as the whole, take apart the rifle and then put it back together and then bury it. But then there's some people are saying, no, it was just slung over his back in one piece. But supposedly, he did take it apart. So, what up, lady? Hi. Patel has been showing his bug eyes. Yeah, he kind of almost has the leftist crazy eyes. The ones that they're always doing, when they're just, talking about something so serious, and they're just, something unhinged and anti-Trump, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So anyway. A lot of the conspiracies, though, most of them, besides the what he was possibly shot with, a lot of the conspiracies that are just wild, and I'm not going to necessarily dismiss him because I don't know. I haven't like looked at all of their evidence that they supposedly have. But they're trying to say that because Charlie Kirk was leaving the, I guess, the Israeli camp of being like, I guess, like pro-Israel, and had some donors pull out, and said he was scared for his life, that's who killed him. And here's what I think could be possible. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I wouldn't discount that Tyler Robinson could have done it, like almost by himself. However, I also heard that he was possibly paid by the Democratic Socialists of America, allegedly. But I would not put it past Mossad to manipulate these fragile minds. And I say fragile minds because obviously he had to have some mental issues. Obviously. And he was in a lot of discords. And there's a lot of allegations that a lot of the youth are being radicalized on Discord. And speaking of Discord, join my Discord. My link is in my X bio. It's a lot of fun. Great community. But it's something that they could easily pass off and say, oh, it's just Tyler Robinson. It was just the lone shooter. He's the one that did it. So there could be almost a both could be true kind of thing. Like how they say that the feds try to, like, because our own FBI does that. We know our own FBI does that. That they say he was on our radar, but yet you find out that the feds were possibly giving him money and like the feds were talking to them. You know, who's to say that Mossad doesn't do that same shit to our people, to like possibly Tyler Robinson? It's possible that it could still be true, you know? And Candace even has a dead man switch now because of all that. Which, honestly, blame her. That's not something that, like, I see myself doing. If I got deep into stuff, yeah, maybe. But, you know, if she feels safer with a dead man switch, all power to her. Yep. Doesn't all the info feel like a flood of info to Smokescreen and seed more fighting? I'm more Occam's razor around. Yeah, there is a whole thing about fighting and distraction from the Epstein list is what I think. However, there's also the allegation that Epstein was a foreign agent, which there's some documentation behind that Epstein was a foreign agent. Of what country? I'm sure we can all guess. Yeah. Radicalized about Goth Liberty Mommy. Yeah. You can get radicalized on my Discord. That's fine. But we get radical about just fun stuff. We're not dangerous people though. Oh, Epstein was for sure Mossad. You know, I believe it. I honestly do. He was an agent of 5 different countries. Yeah. I honestly do believe it. I'm just afraid I'm going to get shot one of these days if I said something that offended someone else. And we shouldn't be living like that, period. This is supposed to be a country where we should know and understand that we have the freedom of speech and others have the freedom of speech. And part of living in a society, like, you don't have the right to not be offended. Like, you don't. There's no law saying that you, like, it's not the UK. The UK, you get arrested for being offensive. In the United States, like, be as offensive as you want. But there's people who have absolutely no control over their emotions, absolutely no control over themselves in general. And it's honestly, it's a them problem. It really is, because they don't know how to regulate their emotions to be able to accept that somebody disagrees with them. And so they call them fascists. They call them Nazis. I'm a libertarian. I'm about as far from a fascist as you could be. And I've still been called a fascist. I've been called a bootlicker. What boot am I licking whenever I want smaller government than they do? Oh, the left is dumb. And it's all come from the left. All those accusations come from the left. I don't get conservatives calling me a bootlicker. I don't get conservatives calling me a fascist or any of that. It all comes from the left. If you are right of Stalin, then you're basically a Nazi to them. Anyway. Also, if you're offended, you don't have to associate with someone. Freedom of association is base as fuck. Yeah, all about freedom of association. And I don't want to associate with people that don't have control over their emotions enough to, not open their mind to differing opinions. Mossad and the CIA aren't enemies. If Epstein was part of Mossad operation, the CIA would be in on it. Yeah, I believe that. I do believe that. All right, we are coming up on the hour. It has gone by so fast. Listening to my rantings for 1 hour. We mostly went over more tangents than anything. But it's fun. It's always fun. And of course, as always, we must have a visit to our sponsor of today's show, libertariangoth.com, of course, where we have the Liberty Trap calendar 2026 available right now for sale for the public. This is going to be a lot more dynamic. Look at that. Aww. That was a cute outfit. I really like that outfit. And you can see my, right there, the little vial. I got a new necklace for my Dracula soil. So I'm still wearing my Dracula soil, as you see. Also, you can probably see it in the camera. I don't know. It's somewhere on my neck. But anyway, the thirst trap, or Liberty Trap, not thirst trap. We don't, even the description says we don't do thirst traps here. We do Liberty Traps. So this is the calendar, and I will show a few of you here on stream. This is January. It's a quote from George Orwell. I like this quote a lot. Oh, I'm going to zoom in on it. There. Oh, it's not one to zoom in. And honestly, it is just like what we're saying. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear, by George Orwell. And I know this is the pinup. It's that same outfit from the cover. I like it. You see my tattoos, my little moth that I did about a month or so ago. And then you got April with George Washington. Liberty when it begins to take root is a plant of rapid growth. Of course, I did the plant quote for Easter month. And yes, I have bunny ears on because April is the month of Easter. And there's only 2 more here of examples to watch. And I said I would smile on this one. There's a smile here. And then this quote by Ayn Rand. And then August, a quote from Henry David Thoreau. So if you like Liberty quotes, you like, November 2. You tolerate me, go ahead and get you a calendar. I would love to be hanging on your wall telling you what day it is every day. So go check it out. Now, the one for this year, after the new year, the 2025 is not going to be available. I know the year would have already gone by that time, but if you want the 2025, it is $5 off the rest of the year. This is the signed. I don't have the signed yet. I will be putting up the signed soon. Signed pre-orders for the 2026 soon. But if you want the 2025, it is $5 off. Go ahead and check it out. I didn't put the year on the calendar for the 2026. I could and should edit that probably. Anyway, Yeah, so go get your calendars. They just dropped not even 24 hours ago. Now, if you were a Patreon member or a subscriber, you got the link a little bit early, and I am thankful, very thankful. If you have already purchased a calendar, it means a lot that you support me, and that I will be telling you the date every day while wearing pinup attire. All right. So I do hope that everybody has a great weekend. I hope that the government stops behaving like children, pay the troops, but they can keep it closed. That's fine with me. All right. Well, have a great rest of your night, everybody. And remember to always lead with kindness unless they don't deserve it.